Okay, so I have not been all that up on this channel right now, and that's just other things, trying to be a productive adult while also taking a little road trip up to Kootenai County. Yeah, I uploaded the meat of that. I think it was technically this morning. Um, but yeah, Tom and I we did a road trip. We saw a lot of Idaho and then a lot of friends. Saw a lot of things and getting a lot of feedback for what I'm doing on this channel. And I might do a more general update after this video, and after that, probably sometime soon, I'll continue on with the platform videos. But not long after Tom and I got back into Boise, got this email from the county GOP secretary saying, "Oh yeah, the thing that I spent an hour on, they finally got around to doing the business of that, and so it's changed somewhat, which that'll be interesting bringing up in the meeting today. The meeting's today, right?
Oh, yeah.
Well, yeah. Go ahead and talk. I mean,
yes.
Yeah. So it
6:30.
ish. Yeah, it ended up being on May 4th. So May the 4th be with you, Victor. May the 4th be with you, Barrett. May the 4th be with you, Kim.
They are dark side.
I'm not going to unendorse that because it's kind of true, but man. Okay, so it's been changed a bit, and the meeting's today, and so I'm going to try to do this video as quickly. That's also the reason why I'm not really dressed up right now. Usually I do subscribe to the whole Steve Rogers philosophy, if you're going to fight in a war, wear a uniform, and that's usually the uniform I wear. But here we're going to have before us this whole thing. It's Dear Ada County Precinct Committeemen and Committee Women. On April 6th, the Central Committee referred the 6 proposed state party rules to the Bylaws and Rules Committee. Region 4 Mark Chandra, and one member of his choosing, Mr. Johnson chose Cheryl Miller. The blah 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 blah. And following, please find our 4 state party rule changes in 2 resolutions that will be considered. Blah blah blah. If the county government votes to, blah 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 blah. Well, that's rather presumptive right there. If the County Central Committee votes to recommend these 4 rules and 2 resolutions, they'll be introduced at the Summer Idaho Republican Party. Okay, that's not even called that. It's not even called that. And I would think the author would have known that because I know the secretary didn't write that. But okay, on June 23rd and 24th in Chalice. And oh yeah, so I think I've already posted about this on social media and whatnot, and I know that a lot of the brown-nosing Victor Miller cult has been stalking a lot of my social media. I guess that's meant to intimidate me, but it really doesn't. you can't out-troll a troll. But yeah, I've already said it on social media, but the Kootenai County people were so impressed with what I was doing and my presentation and the answers that I gave that they saw fit to have me represent them in Chalice in June. So that's going to be a thing. So I'm going to be there for this stuff anyway. And thing is, I'm kind of honor bound to tell the truth and not really obfuscate anything. I'm not really holding anything back. Just a little bit of a warning there. I don't think I've really been anything else. Also, let's see. Keep going with this. So yeah, I'm going to be representing Kootenai County, in the delegate selection rule presentation at the summer meeting. So that will be a fun one. And somebody made an interesting comment about that allegedly being illegal, but you know what? I've asked some questions. I've done some reading. I've done oh, not just a little bit of research. I went down several rabbit holes. And I'm not entirely sure it's going to matter whose opinion that was. So, but yeah, you know what? Just keep coming at me. I find this fun. Note, as you review the state party rules, ask for the reasons for the rule, which explains. Okay, so they're trying to explain away why they're doing it that way instead of actually arguing for it. Okay, let's keep going on that. You know, they're trying to explain away why they're doing it weird instead of like actually doing it. 4 proposed in 2 resolutions because apparently this turned into 4 instead of 6 and 2 resolutions. So they're trying to pretend. They're still trying to pretend they're 6 separate ones instead of a block of code that would work together if passed. Of course, it's not going to pass, but you know. Rule 1 became a resolution, so it says right here. Rule 2, the committee makes changes to the appeals process, assigns credit towards state party dues. Well, I kind of called that out up when I was in Kootenai County, and I know I mentioned it during the last video, but you know what, I'm going to mention it again. Some of these very same people who are calling for this were entirely dependent on this being the complete opposite, and they wanted that because they wanted to get at the chairman at the time. So I'm not going to belabor the point, but I am going to say, turnabout is fair play. Rule 3 became a resolution. The community thought this rule was better as a resolution and addresses inequalities between delegates. I'm not accepting the premise on that. A delegate is a delegate. A delegate makes motions, does things regardless of which entity that they are representing. So, point not made, because no delegate is higher than the other just by the just by the virtue of what body they're representing. Now, you can, of course, be a delegate and also be a committee chairman or something like that, but that's not by virtue of where you came from. That's by virtue of being selected by the state chairman to do a rather serious job. So, we'll look at that. And not only that, one of the rabbit holes I had to go down touched on this. And I'm not going to really elaborate too much on that, but the differences between certain years of legislation was very interesting. Very interesting and very relevant. See, Rule 4, the committee made minor grammatical changes, blah, 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 blah. Oh, this is the odd-even thing? Yeah. No. You're just going to say what I said. No, not going to do it. May who count towards their state party dues. Yeah, I've already said what I've said about that one, but you know we'll go through that a little bit. And then Rule 6, the committee must made blah 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 eliminates dues out. Yeah, so you're basically looking to defund the state party. I'm willing to bet that's not how Mr. Johnson, because you know they're referring to Mark Johnson, the Region 4 chairman. I'm willing to bet that's not how he said it. I'm willing to bet that because Mark is somebody, you know, unlike the previous Region 4 chairman, he's actually very in tune with what his responsibilities are by virtue of that office, and one of them very much has to do with things coming down from the state party, and not only that, but encouraging people to actually pay their dues and whatnot. So I'm wondering, and I am going to ask him about this probably privately later, about what he actually meant there, what he actually said there. I'm willing to bet this is not completely representative of that. So, proposed resolution. Oh, look, they're trying to mimic the state with this kind of numbering scheme, even though by now it does not make sense. So,
Hey, Matt.
What?
Just in the video, do you think it'd be appropriate to talk about the difference between the tone of the meetings between that county and our county? Or is that something you don't want to bring up?
I'll bring that up in an update video because that is extremely interesting as well.
Yeah.
You know, how Kootenai County does things versus Ada.
It's such a big thing still to think about when I went there.
Indeed, and this is this is roughly the right venue to talk about it too. But but right now, let's see, we've got proposed resolution 2023-01. That implies that some resolutions have not already been sent up. So there's kind of already a factual problem here. Resolution supporting transparency of party finances. So that's the euphemism that we're using now. And this is interesting. Nobody's putting their name on this. If I was going to write a resolution like that, I would put my name on it. And I have done that before because, and I've mentioned this a lot of times because I've actually put in the work to do things at the state level like that, such as resolutions and rules. I've actually done the work. I haven't, it's not just a thing where I just talk to people in my area. I just talk to people in Ada and hope it works up there. You might get away with that once or twice. But no, you actually got to put in the work, especially with something like this. And you're not even putting your name on it. Okay, let's see. Whereas Article 1 it shall be governed. Okay, and as such, that's interesting that they're saying that. But the very same people are trying to claim otherwise with other matters going before the State Central Committee. That's interesting. And as such, each member has exclusive for accounting and expenditure of party resources. I wonder what would happen if we applied the same attitude to Ada and their finances. Come at me, bro. So, I'm not your bro. Actually, you are my brother, but anyway. Article 14, financial review, says an executive summary, blah, 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 blah. Okay. I've seen those reports before. They happen. Okay. It looks like they're trying to build a case, but where are they going with this? Okay. Let's see. Article 14, financial review committee, and disclosing information does not qualify as a public release. I would disagree with how they're implementing that, but let's keep going. New language in the party will make membership assessments of counties based on a budget holding it all. Oh, okay. So this is, here's the thing, is that I know that they wrote this after Kootenai, after we did Kootenai. So they knew that other people are trying to fix the actual problem here, and you're using the problem to force in your own language, which, that's not equal. Those are not the same thing. One is an honest effort, and the other you're trying to force your will. Let's see, a new language makes membership assessment whose adequacy and accuracy must be judged by a central committee. Okay, and then let's see. Whereas all individuals with fiduciary responsibility must have access to unredacted, blah 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 blah. I don't necessarily agree to this, and I said as much as to why in the last video, but to go over it again briefly, if we handled things like that at State Central Committee meetings, we might as well be handing all of our receipts into the Idaho Capital Sun. That George Soros-backed paper. So, point not made, because you're effectively asking everyone to tell the Democrats and the Socialists what we're doing. That is not legitimate. That is absolutely not legitimate. Therefore, be it resolved that the committee instructs its executive items to make all financial blah 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 blah. No, and get bent. Moving on. So 2020, interesting numbering scheme now. Assigning credit towards Republican state party dues. I've said a lot about this already, but here's the statement for. Okay, so they're reusing a lot of their Chat GPT generated text here. A united effort between blah 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 unity and values. 44. Okay, so we should create stability within the county regarding to grassroots at its convention. I find this interesting because it's the Victor cult that's saying this right here, and they are absolutely not grassroots. He is literally in favor of a top-down method of governing the party. It's literally, I'm the chairman, do this, and not cooperation. So this is hypocrisy right here, but okay. Let's see, each of the 44 counties are unique and throughout. Okay, that's one of those sentences you say when you may want to make it look like you're building a case. 5 counties. Okay, this is all looking familiar because it's got this Chat GPT-ness to it. You know, it's not a quality that you can explicitly define, but it looks like it was written by an AI. Let's see. Put it another way. I am neither agreeing nor disputing with any of these numbers because I didn't see the math that was done to have them. Largest 5 because my reply to number 6 would be what Kootenai Chairman Brent Regan said about being the second largest county and what they were doing when we were having the discussion about the delegate selection rules thing. What he had to say about that and having no excuse would be my direct reply to that. At the end of 2022, Ada County had, okay, assuming these numbers are right, the next few counties with the most Democrats, blah, 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 blah. County has as many Democrats. Okay. Well, that means that you shouldn't be screwing around like this and actually just trying to get things done. But okay. So we've looked at your rationale for all of this. Unconvinced, but you know what? Let's read. Also, presumptive numbering here. And I know for a fact that these are definitely not the first rules sent in. Ask me how I know. Okay, so they want to put in a presumptive Section 9 to Article 19. The will credit towards... Okay, you know what? If you have to use credit in quotes like this, you are not being clear about what you're saying. And if you are not being clear about what you're saying in the middle of a frickin' rule, that's a problem. And if it's a rule about money, that is absolutely doubly so a problem. That already. It should go down just for that. Towards a county central committee's membership. Okay, they didn't even... Okay, so when you say this in English, it would have an apostrophe S, but that would be a bad way of writing a rule. So they've just removed the apostrophe instead of actually writing it in English that will be usable and parsable. So, okay, but yeah, that's interesting how it happened right over here. Let's see, membership dues for proportional expenditures statewide. Okay, now I've already gone over this, but I'll say it again. There might be reasons why expenditures and activities in a certain county might be, see, what was the proportionally heavy or proportionally light. There might be reasons for that coming from the state. I think the author or authors know that. Even you know what? I bet ChatGPT even knows that. So this is it's like no, just for that line alone, I would vote this down because there are reasons why you would not proportionately spend in any particular area. digital ads delivered, blah, 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 blah. Okay, so you're just padding out for, text when you're literally including mail, printed literature, digital ads delivered, phone and texting. And okay, it's interesting that you stopped there. Why didn't you throw a whole frickin' dictionary in there? And central committees will make a reasonable effort to appraise. They didn't even spell apprise right. Oh my god. Oh my goodness. The Idaho State Republican and its efforts. Well, I agree that counties and the state party should absolutely be cooperating with each other and communicating with each other. How about we start doing that, Victor? In addition to campaign support cited in this section, the State Executive Committee shall adopt a schedule of other approved credits that shall adopt a schedule of other approved credits. Oh, so not only on top of what you said here in the preamble, because that's what it's actually called when it's a section like that, in the preamble of the section, and then in the subsection you say, oh, there's also other stuff, which means you're trying to abstract the choice of the matter away from the voting members of the State Central Committee. That's de facto what you're trying to do. That's literally what you're doing. Okay, so County Central Committee is seeking a credit. Okay, again with this quote stuff, which means you are being unclear, and that would be a reason all on its own to not pass a rule. But you're being unclear if you have to put it in quotes. Will engage the people within 21 days of the election to show its financial accounting of competitive. It's like they're trying to leak all of this information. I'm not going to outright accuse people of doing that, but it looks a lot like it. Okay, and subsection C, the Idaho State Republican Party will work closely with the county credit confirmed. Okay, so if you're in the situation of receiving credit, you want to confirm. Okay, now disputes on credit will be resolved by the judiciary oversight. Oh, you basically want your own intra-party system of suing each other over this stuff too, which means you're looking to cause a fight over this. This should go down just for that. The whole thing should go down just for that, because the Article 12 process is not supposed to be a thing that everybody just lightly starts complaining about each other with. Complaining about each other, that's just politics. Holy crap. This is bad. This is bad policy. It is bad policy for bad reasons. It's badly written, and we're only through like the first part of it. The first rule that's going to go through. Proposed resolution, okay, again, presumptive, and nobody put their name on this one either. That's extremely interesting. County Central Committees are allotted delegates. This is true. Building a case, I guess. Are a lot of delegates based on the county population range from 1 to 100, and each member is allotted 3 delegates to, okay. Delegates are comprised of approximately 80, okay, oh yeah, I remember this part. It's never exactly 85 and it's never exactly 15, because the way that the formula works, it's every 1,000 Republican voters or something in a county. And by the way, that formula has some interesting origins in law. Just saying. So it's never going to be. So this is automatically factually wrong, and instead, and the thing is that in order to really solve that problem, you could just say give or take some number. And you would be completely fine here, but you didn't do that. So you're not exercising all due. You're not putting forth all due effort into being correct, which is a problem if you're gonna need people to agree with you at the state level. Because people will get pedantic, and especially about money and representation. See, the Idaho recently transferred a long-standing requirement from into new compulsory. Oh, okay. So I'm going to read this out completely, and then I have something to say about it. But I'm going to make sure that I am representing this fairly. They're saying in this whereas clause, whereas the Idaho Republican Party recently transformed a long-standing practice of requesting voluntary contributions from county central committees into a new compulsory membership dues focused. Okay, there should be a hyphen in there and totally isn't. I mean, do you even English, bro? New compulsory membership dues focused only on county central committee. Well, it always has been focused on county central committees, for one, during the previous quota system. Now, there are reasons why the party wasn't really all that aggressive in going after the quota assessed to certain counties. And that's not a thread you should be pulling on. Now, the consequences to pulling on that thread are kind of already inbound, because we launched a missile from Kootenai. Long-standing practice, well, what broke this? What broke this? It was misbehaving people from one county. Guess which county that was? Guess which people those were? I'm being dead serious here. You don't want to pull on that thread. Because you know what? It's not just going to affect the people who are doing wrong here. It's going to affect everybody from that county. That's going to affect me. And not only that, but it's going to elicit some reaction that is going to affect Ada County probably long after we are all gone. And that is a very big problem with the Victor cult going on right now, is they are not thinking about what they're doing. They're not thinking the consequences. They're not thinking about the future. They say that they are, and then they totally aren't. Just like they're sending out these dumb emails. They're saying that we need to, they're complaining about division and vitriol, and these very emails, these very texts are making it worse. Anyway, well, let's continue. Whereas if the county doesn't pay its new compulsory membership, make up the difference. Well, they already know this is changing. I've said this a million times by now. They're making this point in bad faith. They already know that this is changing. And not only that, but they're kind of working against those changes. I mean, really, what are you doing? Okay, so whereas two delegates, what are they getting at here? Whereas two delegates, one a county central committee delegate and the other a legislative living next door to one another, will be charged different amounts. Okay, again, you're hammering on a point that you know will become irrelevant by the time the next convention comes around. This is disingenuous. You are effectively lying. Whereas equal protection of the law is legal. Oh, you're going there, huh? Let's talk about equal protection next time you try to pull anything, Victor. Whereas the equal protection law on the form of the similar should be treated equally. Well, they're not as similar as you think. And also, I refer back to what the delegate selection language used to be before the 70s. We'll go there. We'll just treat it like that. Well, I could spend a long time on that, especially with the rabbit holes I've had to go down. But we'll just leave that there. Whereas the Idaho Republican Party's, apostrophes aren't so much of a problem here, but it's still lazy. Whereas the Idaho Republican Party's new compulsory membership structure and its corresponding financial burden to the county violates both the letter and spirit of the law of the Equal Protection Clause. You know what? Go ahead and sue them. Go ahead and sue the state party. See where that gets you. Especially when everybody finds out what your lawsuit is about. Go ahead. Do it. I dare you. Whereas this problem will be exposed when delegates begin to register in advance and similar to again, you know that's not going to be the case. You are lying. Whereas the Idaho Republican Party will be exposed to significant legal liabilities if it doesn't... No. Oh, so you're planning on starting a fight and planning on causing damage. Is that what you... You sure you really want to be saying this last whereas clause here? Is that really what you want to be doing? Okay. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Idaho Republican Party remove the financial burden. Okay, we're doing that, you jerk. Or places answering on the delegates, or equally, or and return to the previous practice. Well, what's going to happen is closest to what you're saying, what you're asking for here, but don't think that you're going to be getting out of responsibility with state dues. Don't think you're getting out of that.
Hey, Matt.
Yeah?
Are you going to be much longer?
Probably. Okay. With the way things are going with this.
Okay. Well, I'm going to head out now.
Oh, cool. All right.
And then meetings that pick you up at 6. Does that seem fine?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
Yeah, that's fine. Today's Thursday, right? Yeah.
Goodbye, YouTube channel.
Good. Well, Tom says bye. Yeah. So, proposed rule 2020. I'll get again pretentious and presumptive numbering here, because I know this isn't going to be anywhere near the 4th that has been presented already, because other parts of the Idaho GOP, they do stuff and they talk to each other.
So, sorry, what are they talking about today at the meeting?
This thing that I'm going over right now, some other things, and I think I talked to you about some stuff earlier, and I think it would be a better idea if I didn't talk to you about that while being recorded.
Right.
Privacy and all that.
Keep that.
Oh, cool. I got some Dr. Pepper now.
About to finish this.
So, odd and even years payment schedule. This is a non-starter. What?
Odd and even your payment schedule.
I'll explain it to you later, but it's crap. I think I've talked to you about it before, but it's crap. And there isn't as much reason for it as they're trying to say here. And I'll say that here shortly here in the video.
Yeah. I'll stop interrupting.
No, it's actually quite all right that you interrupt, because people actually talk to each other. Republicans talk to each other.
Well, you should at the end of the video talk about how people talk to each other in Kootenai County.
Oh no, that's another video after this.
Okay.
But yeah, I am totally bringing that up because Brent Reagan, he's a good guy. He runs a tight ship up there.
Yeah, pronounce that word very correctly.
Yeah, I know. I'm having problems with that.
Just like Black Knife.
I'm not explaining the joke he just made.
No falo Portuguese.
Eu não falo português. No está bien. No está bien. So, back to the subject of the video. Odd and even year payment schedule this rule creates a blah 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 blah. A united effort between. Okay, so he's reposting in here the Chat GPT text from the last time. That's effectively what all this is. And so, okay, you know what?
Posting.
I'll put that on the screen here for a moment, but it assumes and puts forward some premises that I do not necessarily argue against or admit. So here, I'll put the lower half of that also on the page here for you in case you want to read.
Ew, no lace.
What?
Ew, no lace.
Well. I don't care what you said about the dragon.
I don't read.
Well, say no. Falo português. All right. So here's the actual thing Membership dues, 30%. Okay, so they want, okay, I'll explain what this rule is and then why it's a problem. So, Article 19, membership dues, presumptive numbering of Section 10. Also, why aren't they underlining Section 10? They're, okay, fine, whatever.
Like Section 13.
Well, I would totally Section 13 their butts.
Well, that's the alien detective guys from Transformers.
Oh, okay. 30% of membership dues to County Central Committee shall be payable in odd numbers of years, and 70 assessed in membership in even number of years. So they want to. They're trying to take the entirety of what you would be owed in a 2-year cycle. You pay 30 of it in the odd number year, and 70% of it in the even number year. Now, I can imagine a case in which this would not be true, but it does not seem to be true right now, and with the proposed waiver language that I put forward, we would get real data on this instead of the assumptions that they're making on this. But so that's what they want to do. But the problem, a very big problem, and this is kind of an overarching theme with a lot of what's wrong with these rule changes, is that very few other counties have any kind of problem paying the quota, or they're now called dues. They have a very big, they not only that, but they have a very big problem with Ada not paying their dues. Now, there was at least in the past some excuse where a lot of the statewide stuff, statewide fundraising was basically just a lot of the Ada fundraising. And not only that, but we have this parasite organization called the Ada County Lincoln Day Association. Not going over that right now. That's been trodden to death. And so for a lot of time, Ada was not able to pay the full assessment. Now Ada is able to do the full assessment, and they're not paying, which means that is now a choice that Ada is making. This is on top of everyone else being able to pay, largely, except for some random counties that, for whatever reason, could not fundraise properly. Now, in the other proposed rules that I wrote with other people in collaboration, when we actually did the work for what we want to do, we account for that by saying, okay, you know what? You apply for a waiver, say why you can't pay. State Executive Committee says, rules on that. And the matter is then dispensed with. Either, yeah, okay, that's a good enough reason, or no, that's not a good enough reason. But pretty much every other county, except for some of the random ones that would be applicable to, they've been able to pay on odd and even years. And it's sometimes the random odd thing where they might not be able to do it all in one go, but but almost always that they pay by the end of the year. And that was a good system for them, which was why I had a little bit of a problem with the language from the winter meeting, but it's mostly fine. Everyone else is able, doesn't need this. Which means if we're carving out a rule specifically for Ada's benefit, that should automatically go down. And given that this is also being done in service of all the other bad crap that is on this slate, then no, this should go down just out of principle. So this, many problems with it. I've voted down just on the principle on several parts of it. So, presumptive numbering again. Okay, now I've said a lot about what problem I have with just the title of this already, is that these people who wrote this are frickin' hypocrites about it. Because they were trying to tear down previous chairmen by donating directly to the state party and making sure that the credit didn't go towards the county party at the time. And this was meant to discredit and dig at the chairman of the time. There's one particular example that I always cite. There were a few others. And the very same people that were involved in that wrote this. At least they wrote the rule. ChatGPT wrote a lot of the reasons and blah, blah, blah. A lot of this is repetitive text. I've gone over it before. I like how they're acknowledging number 6 right here. There is a natural competition for donors' dollars between the state GOP, county parties, and all candidates. I like how they're acknowledging that. And how, in the past, that might have been a problem for Ada. You've fixed that problem, apparently, and you're still choosing to not pay your dues. Okay, all donors must blah, 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 blah. There's an incident that happened that makes this line very interesting. What was his name? Vivek Ramaswamy, I think his name was. The powers that be in the Ada County GOP tried something. Ran afoul of a FEC election law of some regulation of some kind. It's actually, and that rule is actually there for a pretty good reason. And then they were told about this, and then just did away with the advertisement, and then just did away with the event advertisement. Retooled the graphic for it, and thought that everything was fine. So yeah. I find number 7 right here extremely ironic. Since all donors have to provide mailing addresses, can be easily tracked. Sunshine laws are a thing, so I guess this is true. But this is putting extra work on an already overtaxed state party headquarters staff. So you're not making the point you think you're making here. So, presumed Section 11, which, why are they not underlining Section 11? There is not already a Section 11 there. And wait a minute, if there is one, what are you replacing with this text? So, whoever rewrote this doesn't know what they're doing. And makes me think that they're up to something because of how bad it is. So they say, Section 11, contributions from donors to the state shall apply to credit. And okay, you know what? I've already said exactly why this is a problem. We're going to move on from that. Vote no on this. I'm going to be voting no. Most reasonable people are going to be voting no. Most informed people are going to be voting no. Let's move on. Presumptive numbering again. Sunset clause on dues. Okay, so I already know everything is junk in here. A lot of it's that repetitive AI text that was in there. The entire wish to create stability. Well, you're not. Okay, so wish to create stability. You're not creating stability when you pull this crap, Victor. You're not creating stability. And not only that, but you're not creating stability when you make those emails and those texts, Kim. You're not creating stability when you're trying to manipulate the things as you've been doing, Barrett. So, y'all are complete hypocrites with number 2 right here. Anyway, the entirety of which is created with the maximum burden on state convention. Okay, you're again arguing from the point which you know is disingenuous. You know this because encourage blah blah blah. Burden on the delegates. We're taking care of that problem. And you know exactly how to. Each of the four counties are unique, and each county, okay, it's the kind of thing you say when you want to make it look like you're building a point, but you're not really. Again, this is some repetitive text. Oh, okay. I've been thinking a lot about this because I have some things to add. Now, I made an example out of Texas in the last video. And I went back and looked at what those things were, and it would be worse. And not only that, But I'm pretty sure people like Victor would have been removed a lot sooner under the Texas rules. So I don't think that's the thread that they really want to be pulling on. Now, Arizona, they're having Kerry Lake trouble right now, and there's some weird things going on. So that's not a party that we would necessarily want to emulate right now. Oh wait, I think I am familiar with Georgia, but those are just milquetoast things going on. California, I've said this before, but the California Republican Party is absolutely not one that we should be emulating. Bringing them up, it's not the thing that you think you're saying. Colorado fell victim to the Rocky Mountain heist. These are not people that we should be emulating at all. They let Colorado fall. Just look at them now. New York, there's some problems with this. Not only are they perennially just un-Republican, for one, but there's that dude, but the New York Republicans, they put forward a candidate that's been blatantly lying and been damaging the national party as a whole, and all of us individually. So that's definitely not one you want to be emulating. And you know what most of the Oregon Republican Party wants to do? Because, and I'm not necessarily going to hammer them, I'm not going to denigrate them over this, but they've lost a state. They've lost a state that they're never getting back. So on that point, you definitely don't want to be emulating them. But the other side of that is also most of the Oregon Republican Party wants to be Idaho now. So if they want to be us, no. So and I really don't think that the people who pushed forward Mitt Romney should be in charge of any kind of national strategy of anything. So, no. In Connecticut, there's a joke I can make here about the chairman. I'm not going to do it, but I'll say I did. And he's I have nothing to say on the rest of them, but there's peppered in that list there a bunch of state parties that we should not be emulating. Point not made. Self-sufficiency is a Republican value. There's a joke I could be making about a lot of the Ada County GOP leadership there, but I'll not and say I did. Oh yeah, now they're bringing up this dues paid by counties are not even. They're trying to say dues paid by counties are akin to government funded mandate. Not even. Are you okay? You're going to have to put a little bit more on that to get there, but all right, fine. Presumptive numbering. Sunset clause on dues. Yeah, you're basically trying to defund the state party. No, and screw you for trying. I think that's the end of it. So it's not quite an hour that I spent on this, but here, you know what? Let me transition to. So there have not been enough improvements made on this, and not only have improvements not been made, but the point of sending this to a subcommittee to come back was to improve it, to make it ready. And it is very clear that, to me, somebody who has put a lot of effort, in fact, on one thing very recently, to get massive rule changes passed, you need to put in the work. This subcommittee thing was supposed to put at least some attempt at putting in the work to make it ready. It's still not ready. So this packet is what Barrett Tetlow et al. Wasted their time on. And now that they've wasted that time, they're wasting the Central Committee's time. No on all of this. I'm I'm going to make an update video later after I calm down, because this actually got me kind of miffed how a lot of this is pretty blatant. So I'll stop recording, get up, and then calm down a little bit, and I'll do the update video. So I'll see y'all soon.